A nuclear engineer watches his monitor deep beneath the Iranian desert. Every gauge reads normal. 3 floors below him, a centrifuge spinning at 63,000 RPM is shaking itself apart, and the screen in front of him still says everything is fine. Beneath 100,000 square meters of desert sits the Natanz uranium enrichment facility, buried under thick concrete, built for one job. Inside, long rows of gas centrifuges spin uranium gas at extreme speed. Lighter atoms collect in the center. Heavier ones get pushed outward. That's enrichment. A little enrichment fuels a power plant. A lot more builds a weapon. By 2009, Iran insisted the program was peaceful. Most Western governments didn't buy it. Then the centrifuges started failing. Not 1 or 2, hundreds. Engineers checked the motors. Nothing. Checked the power supply. Nothing. Every screen showed normal speed, normal pressure, normal temperature. The machines kept dying anyway. No explosion, no fire, no sign of a break-in. Just rotors cracking apart inside sealed steel tubes, one facility-wide failure at a time. Iran's scientists searched the hardware for weeks. The answer was sitting in the software the whole time. In 2002, an Iranian opposition group exposed 2 secret nuclear sites the world didn't know existed: a heavy water plant in Iraq and Natanz. Iran had never declared either one to the International Atomic Energy Agency, the body that monitors nuclear programs worldwide. Inspectors got inside in 2003 and collected environmental samples. Some came back with traces of highly enriched uranium, far more than any power plant needs. Sanctions followed. Years of negotiations followed. The centrifuges kept spinning the entire time. The 2006 talks had stalled. Israel had bombed a nuclear reactor in Iraq in 1981 and would bomb one in Syria in 2007. An airstrike on Iran was on the table. But Natanz sat under layers of reinforced concrete and packed earth. A strike might damage it. No one could guarantee it would destroy it. And striking Iran risked dragging the entire Middle East into a wider war. Washington wanted a different weapon. One with no missiles and no soldiers. According to reporting by the New York Times and journalist David Sanger, this search led to a classified program called Operation Olympic Games. The plan: leave the building standing. Go after the machines instead, and make sure every gauge in the control room kept lying about it. Iran would spend months chasing a fault that had nothing to do with metal or wiring. Building that meant inventing something that had never existed before. A weapon made only of code. In June 2010, 2 malware researchers in Belarus, Sergei Ulysin and Oleg Kupriv, were fixing repeated crashes on a client's computers in Iran. Buried inside, they found code unlike anything in their archive. It wasn't stealing passwords. It wasn't sending spam. It was sitting there, doing nothing, waiting for a specific condition to appear. They emailed Microsoft. No one wrote back. In July 12, 2010, they posted their findings online instead. By then, the code had already reached more than 100,000 computers in over 100 countries. Almost none of them mattered. They were just carriers. Researchers pulled a name from fragments buried in the file structure. Stuxnet. A typical worm exploits one unknown software flaw. Stuxnet carried 4, each one unknown to Microsoft until that moment. Finding a single one of these can take a research team a year. 4, in one piece of malware, takes a budget most criminal groups don't have. It also carried digital certificates, stolen from real hardware manufacturers. Windows read it as trusted software. Most antivirus programs waved it straight through. Then it dropped a rootkit deep into the operating system's kernel, the layer that gave it the power to hide every trace of itself. German researcher Ralph Langner found the detail almost everyone else had missed. Stuxnet sat dormant on nearly every computer it touched. It activated for exactly one program. Siemens Step 7. Software that runs the machinery inside power stations, factories, water plants, and nuclear sites. This code had a target list with one entry on it. The first version had been quietly running since June 2009. Sharper versions followed in March and April 2010. Someone kept refining a weapon that was already live inside its target. The code knew which industrial controllers to look for, how many centrifuges should be wired together, and what their normal speed should be. None of that is public information. Someone had studied this exact facility from the inside. Natanz had no internet connection. There was no remote way in. Someone had to walk the weapon through the front door. According to several investigations, including reporting by Hove Motorcock and earlier reporting by the New York Times, Stuxnet likely entered on infected drives carried by engineers or outside contractors. Some accounts describe a Dutch intelligence assets role, though the specifics remain disputed. Once inside, the worm didn't strike right away. For weeks it recorded normal readings, speed, pressure, vibration, and stored them. Then it moved. Stuxnet seized control of the frequency converters that set the centrifuge motor speeds. Normal operation sat around 807 to 1210 Hz. The malware pushed that to nearly 1410 Hz, dropped it almost to zero, pushed it back up, accelerate, brake, over and over for weeks. While this happened, it fed the control room a loop of pre-recorded data from a healthy day. Every gauge held steady. Every alarm stayed off. The engineers watched numbers that no longer described anything real. By some estimates, around 1,000 centrifuges were damaged or pulled from service. Iran replaced them. More failed within weeks. The weapon was built to stay sealed inside Natanz forever. It got out anyway. The leading theory, an infected laptop, later connected to a network outside the facility, carried the code straight past the air gap that was supposed to stop it. Within weeks, copies were sitting on lab benches around the world. Once researchers had picked the code apart line by line, one thing was obvious. No criminal group writes a 40-day weapon, gets exact blueprints for a foreign nuclear site, and spends years patching it in the field. That kind of access belongs to a government, and not many governments have it. Iran replaced its damaged centrifuges and kept running the program. Years later, other cyber attacks hit Iranian nuclear sites again, several reportedly linked to Israel, though no government has confirmed it on record. Stuxnet didn't end Iran's nuclear ambitions. It didn't even slow them down for long, by most counts. What it did was prove a new kind of weapon works, one that can sit hidden in a system for a year, wait for the right moment, and then act, all without a single explosion anyone can point to as the start of a war. If Stuxnet blurred the line between war and peace, where do you think that line sits today? And who should be the one to decide when a cyber attack crosses it?